Hello, it's Reija and welcome to another video. Recently I was tagged by Renata from BookCravings to do her original tag of food and literature. This tag seemed like so much fun, I just really couldn't wait to get to do it. I had to think for a long while to come up with some interesting answers, but I'm hoping that you will like them. I have all the questions here on my phone and let's just get right into the tag. First question is, name an unforgettable meal scene you felt you were there. And for this question I have to go with A Storm of Swords by George R. R. Martin, because this is the book where they are celebrating Joffrey Baratheon's wedding. And that wedding scene was unforgettable not only in terms of politics and plotting, but also in terms of the meals. There were like 77 courses of food to celebrate the faith of the seven, and every course was magnificently detailed, and reading that scene really made you hungry. That's definitely been one of the scenes with a meal that I've really felt like being there. Question number 2. Name a book with a dish or scene that somehow represents the cuisine of your country. For this question, I went with the Moomin books by Tove Jansson. Now, I'm from Finland, and this book is obviously in Swedish, but in Finland we have 2 official languages. We were colonized by Sweden for a long time, and Finland owes a lot of its cultural heritage for Sweden thanks to that. Tove Jansson is a very celebrated Finnish author, and she's also Finland-Swedish, so she was a Swedish-speaking Finn. Her Moomin books are really beloved, and they have a lot of domestic scenes and scenes that happen during dinner and around the dinner table. And I absolutely love them. Moomin Mamma's specialty is her pancake and strawberry jam, which is very reminiscent of the Finnish pancakes that you bake in the oven. So I definitely had to go with the Moomin books for this one. Question number 3. Name the perfect cooking scene. And for this question I have to go with The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien. Because in that book there are a lot of camping scenes. They are roasting, they're killed, the animals they have hunted on the fire, and there is a lot of discussion and cooking and just generally being in the wild, in the outdoors, and surviving in that book. And that's something that reminds me of things that I have done as a kid when I went camping with my parents or my friends and had to stay outdoors and cook there. So to me, those kinds of scenes are very nostalgic, and that's why I derive a lot of pleasure from reading them. Question number 4. A fictional dish you wish you could taste. And for this one, I definitely have to say the chocolate frogs from the Harry Potter series. I'm not talking about the fake chocolate frog you get from supermarkets or something. I'm talking about the real live chocolate frogs that they have in those books. They seem like a really fun treat. Question number 5. A fictional book that made you learn something about foreign cuisine. For this question I went with Chocolat by Joanne Harris. I read it when I was about 16 years old, and it taught me a lot of things about chocolate making and where chocolate originated. And even though we eat a lot of chocolate in Finland, it is not inherently a Finnish dish. So it was interesting to learn about its origins and the traditions that went into creating chocolate. Question number 6. What do you enjoy the most about meals and food in literature? For me, food is a way that people can learn about each other, learn about their culture, learn about each other's culture, and come together in a similar way in that books are a means for people to understand other cultures. So in that sense, I think what I enjoy most about reading about food and reading about different kinds of meal scenes and dinner scenes is the feeling of togetherness, the coming together of people, whether they are talking politics, whether they are talking family issues, anything. It's just that feeling of being together that really fascinates me and makes those scenes come alive for me. Question number 7. The worst meal you've read about, or the worst meal scene. Now, I have to go back to A Song of Ice and Fire in this, because That book series has a lot of scenes involving people or animals eating corpses. They are very detail heavy about what is happening and what kind and how rotten the flesh is, etc. So those are definitely the kind of dinner scenes that I don't really enjoy reading. Question number 8. The most iconic food moment in literature in your opinion. For this, does Norse mythology count? For me, in fiction in general, the most iconic food moment comes from Norse mythology, when Thor, Loki and Thjalfi wander into the Jotun's hall. They end up challenging the Jotuns in competitions, and Loki enters an eating competition, saying that he can eat anything that's dished out at him. What happens is that he loses because his competitor is in reality fire that consumes everything in its path. And that, for me, is the most iconic food moment in literature. I've also seen it adapted into animation. There was this Danish comic that was adapted into an animated film that I saw when I was a kid. So that has really stuck with me. And for the last question of the tag, your favorite food in the entire world and a book or book series that matches it. Well, my favorite food in the whole world is sushi, but I can't come up with a good book to really go with it. So I'm going to go with my favorite domestic food of choice, which is Karelian stew. For a book that matches it, I would go with The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I generally, as a Finn, feel a lot of kinship with the hobbits, because the hobbit population in general is very drawn inward. They are very familial and happy and caring for the people they know, but are very skeptical and very suspicious of outsiders, which is a very Finn thing. And also, I am from the northern Savo area, and my family comes from Karelia, which is famed for their very hobbit-like eating habits. Like every time you go to your relatives or your friends, they will serve you coffee, and then when you move on to the next house, they will serve you coffee and food there as well. So you really end up having multiple second breakfasts. So the Hobbit really brings to my mind the feel of Karelian stew and Finnish food in general, because the hobbits as a people seem like very Finn-like to me. And that has been my take on this tag. Thank you, Renata, so much for tagging me. And I think I will tag Shamina Yuki Crawford to see what she has to say about this. And also anyone who is watching, feel free to do this tag. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!